皆さん、こんにちは。JD です。Are you still struggling to speak Japanese? Maybe you freeze up, or it takes you a while to respond, or you just can't think in Japanese yet. Here's the good news. It's not just about knowing more Japanese. It's about using the Japanese you already know. That's why I want to show you a strategy called home-based learning, which allowed me to speak Japanese even with minimal vocabulary. One of the first habits that I help my students work through is this. I ask them a question, they try to respond back, and they think for maybe 5 or 10 seconds, and they go, wakaranai. I don't know how to say that in Japanese. Sound familiar? Here's the twist. They do know how to say that in Japanese. I know that they do because I know pretty much all the vocab that they have access to. So why aren't they saying it then? And they get stuck for 3 reasons. 1, they're trying to make the perfect sentence. 2, they're trying to translate the English in their head, and therefore they're searching for those English words. Or 3, they're just overthinking their options. Oh, should I say it like this, or like this, or like this? And I get it. I was there too. I used to do the same things when I was learning Japanese. So let me show you how home-based learning works. It's kind of like Pokemon. You start off with your first Pokemon, right? And it's got 2 moves. And all you can do is just scratch your way through until you take their HP down. So scratch is your home base. You can always rely on it. It's almost always going to hit. And eventually you learn new moves, more powerful moves, more efficient moves, right? That's kind of how home-based learning works. Let me show you with an English example, okay? So DJ, what are some other ways to say hello in English? So there's like hi, yo, heya, hiya, howdy, right? I guess good morning kind of works. That's great. But how many do you really need to communicate the idea that you're just greeting somebody? I mean, I guess just one, like hi works. That's right. All we need is just one. We only need our home base technically. Good. All right, now let's use a real world Japanese example to make things more concrete. You're at a konbini and the guy asks you, "Reji bukuro goryou desu ka?" And let's just hope you know what that means, right? And you could say, "Yeah, daijoubu desu." You gotta wave your hand like this too. Don't forget that. No, iranai, iranai. And now that is your home base for politely refusing things. Let's say a few days later, you're in a similar situation, and the first thing that comes into your head in English is, "No, thank you." And then you go, how do I say no thank you in Japanese? And then you're like, maybe you do something silly and you say, "Iie, arigato." But that would be silly, right? And we wouldn't need to think to a different idea or a different concept. We already have our home base. We already know how to politely refuse things, right? But maybe you get all panicked and you're like, "Oh, what do I say? What do I say?" Stop! Just go back to your home base and think, what was that thing that I said at the konbini? But let me just try that. I mean, I know that at least, I'm pretty sure that worked at the konbini because he didn't give me the bag. So, okay. Yeah, daijoubu desu. Daijoubu desu. Yeah, daijoubu desu. You don't need anything new. You just need to use what you already had. Okay? Think of it like a toolbox, right? You already have a bunch of tools. Yeah, maybe you got a hammer or something like that. You got a screwdriver, right? Maybe you got something like this, right? I bought this screwdriver, right? And it's got all these little attachments. 5, 1, 2, 3, 5, 6 times 4. It's got 24 different attachments. I've probably used in the past 5 years, maybe 4 of them, maybe less. All right. So yes, eventually I might have a really rare situation where I need to use one of these rare attachments, but let's not go out buying new tools for our toolbox when we might already have something that can do the job, right? This is a really long flathead screwdriver. Do I need to go out and get a short one if I can use the long one? No, okay? Just use what you have, okay? And you'll get the job done. Look, guys, if there's one thing I can do, it's relate to where you are. Yes, I took Japanese in school and I studied abroad in Japan and I did a homestay and those were all amazing. But you know what? When I got to Japan, even after 2 years of study, I didn't even know words like because or later or hot. I might have studied them in school and I memorized tons of conversations, but then when it came up, it was like, hot, I don't know what that is. So, yes, sometimes you got to look up a new word, okay? That's totally fine, right? If you don't have the word, you don't have the word. But maybe you do. Maybe you do. And that's what you want to think about first is not, how do I say that in Japanese? You don't need to say exactly that. Think if there's something similar with words that you already know that will allow you to say that instead. And so you don't need to know how to say no thank you yet. If you already got something that works perfectly, fine, right? What I tell my students all the time is talk now, worry later, okay? You don't need to be perfect to have a conversation. It's literally the definition of conversation is that you talk to somebody, they talk back. You guys have to work together to understand each other. Nobody can communicate perfectly what they want to say, even in our own native languages, right? That's why we say, bro, I don't know what you're talking about. Like, what do you mean? What do you mean? We say that in our native languages to native speakers all the time, okay? So we can't expect perfection, but what you can do is you go back to your home base, say what you can, and then work from there. And, you know, maybe you learn something new. Maybe you're like, hey, you know what? This did work. This tool did work. Yeah, daijoubu desu worked. But you know what? I heard the guy in front of me at the konbini and he said, iranai desu. So maybe you try that. Maybe you try a shorter screwdriver. Maybe it's shorter. It's a Phillips or whatever. You try a new tool that you learned from somewhere else. That's okay too. So if you're ever feeling stuck, you have a freeze moment, that's okay. It's actually totally okay. Let your brain work. Let your brain speak Japanese. Let it learn. Okay. Don't stop and go, oh, I give up. Okay. How long did you really try? 5 seconds, 10 seconds? Sometimes it takes 2 minutes to come up with what you really want to say. And that's okay. All you got to do is go back to your home base and think, maybe I do already know how to say this. Maybe I do. Or maybe I just need one new vocab instead of a whole new phrase, right? And if you want more ways to stop overthinking and start speaking, let's take some lessons. And I would love to help you out.